Big dogs, we need to talk about the North American World Championship qualifier. There's actually so many things to talk about. Odd Yu-Gi-Oh decks that topped and even won the North American World Championship qualifier, cool techs that players are using to get an edge, and of course, the ban list drama. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. And in case you guys didn't know, it is about that time. Update Monday! A particular time where I distract you. I make you forget this is a Yu-Gi-Oh video to make you a better person overall. Don't worry, big dogs, if you guys are just here for Yu-Gi-Oh, there are timestamps, but this one actually ties into Yu-Gi-Oh. Today, big dogs, I actually want to talk about something that's decently personal right now. I want to talk about making beliefs, sticking to your guns, and of course, admitting when you're wrong. As humans, there is absolutely nothing wrong with your beliefs. If that's what you believe in, that's what you believe in. I want you to double, triple, and quadruple double down onto your beliefs until you're proven wrong. And also change your views, your stances, and beliefs because of it. And I gotta say, I was wrong. Last week, I made a video, and in that video, I said that I had an insider that gave me the leak for the next ban list. And the reason why I was so adamant about this situation is because they got it 100% right on the last ban list. And this really isn't a secret if you dive deep enough into the Yu-Gi-Oh community. That guy was right. This time around, he presented another batch of data, which I wholeheartedly believed it was true. And the reason why I jumped to it is because he got it card for card right, and on top of that, it made so much sense. In fact, I actually think that the ban list was one of the best ban lists that Konami has ever produced. And that's probably where I should have started thinking, right? Unfortunately, the information that I gave you was wrong, and I apologize. I believed into this so much, I actually started making videos and sending them out to my editors to edit. I'm down in a hole quite some money in this too. I appreciate every single one of you guys that has backed me up, and I've seen the sentiment that maybe the ban list was right, I just got the timing wrong. Boy, would I love for that to be true. If I were to pick a date where the ban list will realistically happen, it would be any time between now and maybe sometime after the European World Championship qualifier. My best guess would actually be next Monday, so they can schedule it a few weeks out to be able to avoid European World Championship qualifiers, and especially since they have the new information with all of the decks from Battles of Legends and of course Duelist Advance. But that's not the only reason why you guys are here. You want to learn about the cool techs that players have been using throughout the stream, the cool strategies that have been played, and a potential format after Duelist Advance. I'm really excited for it. Some cards that I've noticed that have been in full effect. I personally think that Ghost Belt and Haunted Mansion is the #1 hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Not only is it good against decks like Vanquish Soul, Lunalight, Raizio, and Mitsurugi, it just checks so many boxes in the game. The card can simply be a complete blowout in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, especially when you use it at the right time. Being able to stop your opponent's Rock of the Vanquisher from being able to special summon, or their Ame no whatever, the ritual Mitsurugi monster that summons itself back and wipes your opponent's board, all the way to stopping other niche effects, like the Bestial monsters from being able to summon themselves in that random Eclipse Twin. Hell, it even stops sub-engines like the Fiendsmith cards. I also noticed that we're in that point in Yu-Gi-Oh when Nibiru the Primal Being is starting to look not good. In the last major events before Duelist Advance, Nibiru the Primal Being felt like a must-play Yu-Gi-Oh card. But now players are easing away from the card simply because there's way too many decks that can play around it. A skilled Vanquish Soul player will only summon 4 times in their particular turn. Raizio has always had Raizio Cross, and decks like Orcus, Mitsurugi, and Lunalight simply just don't care. I think there's a huge potential we won't see Nibiru the Primal Being in this format simply because it isn't good, but you guys should already know it's crazy good, especially when people are not seeing it, which brings me to that video I probably need to make about Nibiru. I've seen the Solemn cards put in so much work. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't been on the Solemn cards, you should now. All 3 of the trap cards, Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, and Solemn Warning, are crazy strong cards. Whether you're using Solemn Strike to be able to negate hand traps, which is pretty prevalent in this format, or stopping critical summons. And speaking of critical summons, Solemn Warning could be seen as a poor Poor Man's Dominus Impulse, or if you just so happen to play a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that plays Earth, Light, or Wind, which a lot of the best hand traps in the game are Wind, Droll and Logbird, Flawless, etc. And then there's Solemn Judgment for just about everything else. There are a ton of powerful spell and trap cards that players are starting to use again, and it can completely cook you. And speaking of such, players are starting to use their spell and trap cards to be able to get over your monsters in unconventional ways. I think players were well prepared for cards like Lunalight Liger and its ineffectiveness, and other situations like YGO Detonator. It's actually crazy that we've had outs under our nose this entire time. Both Salesban and the Black Goat Lavs are crazy strong Yu-Gi-Oh cards against them, with the Black Goat Lavs literally blanking out your opponent's most important cards. You can call like Requiem against Fiendsmith, Ryziel Detonator against Ryziel. It's actually a really sneaky card for its field effect, and its graveyard effect is just as strong. Salesban has been way better than what I even expected. I told you guys to buy that card before it skyrocketed in price a long time ago, and now that ship's pretty much sold. You gotta wait till Rarity Collection 5. These cards are different than your board breaker or your negator cards, even though they're considered board breakers, because they affect the opponent and stop them from performing an action, which allows you to be able to play around unaffected or cards that can just chain their effects to these particular cards. Now, before we get into deck list, if you guys want to have the ultimate protection for all of your cards, you already know what I'm going to talk about. The Raven Wing version 3s. These sleeves are almost completely out of stock. They have been flying like hotcakes. The reviews have been freaking insane. Not only are these the #1 sleeves in the entire world, they're also some of the cheapest. So if you guys want to support the #1 channel in Yu-Gi-Oh that does make mistakes from time to time, but is human just like you, then go ahead and go to TheCaliEffect.com and pick up your sleeves today. We also have other amazing things like mats and accessories coming soon. But one thing that I do want to talk about when it comes to this North American World Championship qualifier is, holy, it was nowhere near what a lot of players thought, including myself. We thought that this was going to be another tier 0 format where it's just Malice and Ryziel, and just to give you a quick look on what the top 64 looks like, it's actually freaking insane. Holy, look at all of those decks. Now, don't get me wrong, in the chart that I'm going to show you, it's still dominated by Mitsurugi and Malice, but it's actually an abundance of strong Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, and Malice or Mitsurugi isn't a deck that won. At the time of recording, some of these deck lists that I want to look at, I don't have access to at the moment, but I will be streaming today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and around that time, we should have more. I'll be going over those deck lists and then posting that on the TheCaliEffect clips. But holy, let's take a look at some really fun decks, especially one that topped like Joshua Riddle's Goblin Biker deck. Now keep in mind, this was a 2,800 Nationals. So the only way to participate in this event is that you had to get your invite, which means you had to win one of your OTS days, you had to top a regional, or win or top a YCS. So not only did this brave player take this Yu-Gi-Oh strategy to a Nationals with a whole bunch of winners, he actually succeeded with it in a top 64. And yes, this is the Goblin Biker deck that we've always been talking about, a closer to pure version with a Fiendsmith engine. I absolutely love that Goblin Biker finally came to its own with the 3 Goblin Bikers going wild, Doug the Charger, the 1 Clatter Spotter, the 1 Mean Merciless, and ain't no other goblins. I think that this deck is really good against Exceed based Yu-Gi-Oh decks. We already know that Ryziel is one of the top contenders, but some other strategies that you might have to look out for are Heraldic, Onomat, which is utopic, and then there's going to be even more Exceed strategies with King9 coming out in a couple of weeks. Also kind of crazy how he played that 1 Ghost Bell. I wonder how far he would have gotten if he played multiple. Another crazy deck I want to show you guys is Ryziel, but before you guys huff and puff, this is technically Ryziel Utopic, so it's Duelist Advance. My man's is playing the 1 copy of Nibiru, but only as a cross-out designator target. I think right now Yu-Gi-Oh players are prepared for the Nibiru to Primal Being, which is going to make this card a lot worse, which will in turn make the deck a lot better. But more so, this deck is about those Utopic cards. Dododo Warrior, Zubababancho. Why do they make us say these cards' names? And these other 2 cards being able to supplement the engine and go really, really fast. I love that he is playing Triple Tactics Thrust, but he isn't playing Harvey's Featherstorm. He's such a Chad for that. But then he's playing Nemesis Flag. Search the Protos. which in fairness is a good board breaker. My man Ricky actually took a deck that's very similar to this to Nationals and unfortunately didn't have the good luck. But I also like that man's is playing Quacky Miru Guardian, brother. Are these other guys rock? No way. Dodo Dwarf Go Glove is a rock and it's searchable. Holy, he might be onto something, especially considering that it's searchable with Gallant Granite. Okay, brother, cook. Unfortunately, at the time, I can't get a Vanquish Soul list at this very second. I do have my Vanquish Soul list that you guys can go ahead and check out. It was incredibly fun to play, and I will be making a couple of upgrades. I think I'm going to start playing Pot of Extravagance inside of my deck to help the deck become a little bit more consistent, and maybe even start playing that Paradise monster since, I'll save it for the vlog that's coming up. Next, we have the Soul only Lunalight inside of the top cut, which only shows that the deck is strong enough to be able to compete. Keep in mind, 2,800 people, whole bunch of renters, and I think that this deck will be a legitimate threat when the ban list does come out because it's more than likely not going to be affected. This Lunalight deck does not play Nibiru in the main board. It sides that one copy of Nibiru the Primal Being. My brother, you're cooking. And if I'm being honest, this is just an overall really solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Bestial monsters seem like they're starting to make a really impactful comeback. They're not only graveyard interruption, they're bodies that you can summon to your side of the field and use for some pretty cool plays. But I genuinely think that Lunalight will be one of those contention Yu-Gi-Oh decks that you're gonna have to watch out for. It getting a top before the ban list only solidifies that. My boy Zach Butler did get a top with Blue Eyes White Dragon. Unfortunately, his particular build is not playing Kaiba Man, which is, it's fair for you Blue Eyes players. This seems to be pretty close to a standard Blue Eyes deck. I want you guys to peep the one copy of Nib and then the one sideboard. Man's gonna cook somebody with that card when they not expecting it. There's also only the one Effect Veiler. In case you guys were wondering, Blue Eyes players have been dropping the Effect Veiler because it isn't as impactful, but if Lunalight does take over, this card will be a lot stronger. Also want to point, man's is citing the Solemn Judgments and the Solemn Strikes. He is trying to cook. Definitely sending somebody for the Shadow Realm with this one. And in case you guys didn't know how Ancient Fairy Life Dragon works, is that the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon can summon this monster in defense, or it summons monsters in defense, and this card can attack in defense, and that's why you play it. Now, big dogs, you guys have seen on the Nationals that Vanquish Soul topped, and Lunalight topped, and Gem Knight actually topped full. Look, I don't be right about every single thing that I say, but when I'm right, you know that I'm right. And I'm more right than wrong most of the time. Hey, what happened to them people that was saying, you know, Gem Knights wasn't a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck? I need y'all to stand on business and apologize like I had to too. I'm telling you guys, big dogs, your haters will always talk about the things you got wrong. Do not let them take away your light. You're still an awesome person. Which also means, in case you want to learn how to beat those Yu-Gi-Oh decks, I have a meta counter guide built to be able to give you the information you need when you're going against them. All three of them are really good, as Nationals has proved itself, and all three of them are meta contention Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Gem Knight got top forward. Unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck.com does not have the deck list at the second, but I do. I actually went ahead and had my boy Jest put it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, but by the time you get this video, it'll probably be up. Let's see what he's playing. The only hand traps we have are the Charmies, which makes sense. This is a going second Yu-Gi-Oh! deck, but he's playing the Shadol engine. That's actually kind of smart. Not only does it allow you to be able to send Hollow Core from the deck to the graveyard. Oh, wait, nope. It lets you send Lights. So you get Nephilim from the deck to the graveyard. You get a Destruction or a Negation. As long as your opponent has a monster on the field, special summon from the extra deck, you're cooking here. I think that this version was incredibly innovative. A good going second, hand trapless, but board breaker style version. And then, oh, brother, man, what are you doing? 5 Kaijus? He's ultra prepared. That's all I can say. He's ultra prepared. Kaiju? Get rid of the Kaiju? Kaiju again? All right, man. Overall, big dogs, I genuinely had fun watching the North American World Championship qualifier. I'm looking forward to new Form Live developments, and once I get the information, I'm going to pass it off to you. As always, big dogs, if you really enjoyed the videos, you already know what to do. Go ahead and consider going to TheCaliEffect.com. That's how you support the channel while getting something back, buying some of that cheese, but also checking out these videos so I can catch you on the next one. You stay safe, guys.